happy to welcome you here to my channel, where we talk about everything related to frugality, minimalism, and intentional living, especially aimed at the needs of the mature woman. In today's video, I want to give you a March update on my no-spend/low spend challenge. Back in February, which is the beginning of my channel, really, I launched the whole enterprise by doing a February no-spend/low spend/cash envelope system. And I reported on that, and the success was huge. I have to say, life-changingly huge. And you folks journeyed along with me, and I really appreciate it. If you'd like to continue the journey and you're just here for the first time, I do hope you'll consider subscribing to this channel. It would mean a lot to me. And hopefully you will have a lot to contribute as well. On today's video, I want to review a little tiny bit about the February experience and then talk about how it went in the month of March. First of all, during the last week of January of this year, of 2019, I did a trial run of what I thought would be a successful cash envelope system, thinking that a cash envelope system would probably help me keep to a no-spend or low-spend challenge in the coming month. And sure enough, it worked really well. So for the month of February, each week, I took out an envelope in 4 categories: food, household, gas, and miscellaneous. And in each of those envelopes, literally just a little envelope that I stuck in my purse, I put some cash. And I did this each week. So for food, I gave myself $100 per week. For household, also $100. For gas, $60. And then I had a miscellaneous category for things that I thought, I don't know, I might need to spend this, or maybe the kids need something, I don't know, $40 there. So a total of $300 per week went into a cash envelope system. And this was to take care of the particular needs that we had for 3 humans and 2 pets in our household for that month. Now, this worked brilliantly. I learned many things about my spending and about how much I really like the cash envelope system for these categories. I loved it. Over the course of the 1 trial week in January and the entire month of February, I ended up amassing a stack of cash and coins that I had, given myself in that cash envelope system, but then not spent. And the stack was about $383 and change, and I was shocked. So then I went back and looked at my expense tracking, which I have done for about the past 2.5 years. And I looked at the average amount that I would have spent in each of those categories in any given month over the past 2.5 years. And I discovered that for the month of February specifically, I spent just over $230 less than I would have had I not used the cash envelope system. So that's $230 more in my bank account, or more appropriately, in a cash envelope that I just hadn't taken back to the bank that I didn't have before. If you think about that $230, if that averages out over the course of a year, you're talking about a couple $1,000 saved every year just from using a cash envelope system. I was delighted. My face still hurts from smiling about it. I was absolutely thrilled. And I put that money aside for March because I knew that March was going to be a big travel month. And sure enough, it was. So I want to tell you a little bit about how March went. Now, I'm trying to record here without my glasses so that I don't do battle with my ring light quite so heavily. But I'm going to have to put them on so I can read you some figures, and then I'll take them off again. So it'll be a little bit disorienting, but hopefully you won't get so much of the ring light up and down. Now, let me put on my glasses and then pick up my March information for you. First of all, there were 4 weeks in the month of March, and I traveled in week 3. So let me tell you what I did in weeks 1 and 2, and then I'll tell you about the trip. First of all, in week 1, I gave myself $120 in food and $80 in household. I changed that up from how I did February, where I did 100 and 100, because I realized that I was spending a bit more on food than I was on household, and I didn't think it made that much difference. It's the same total amount per week, so let's just flip the cash envelopes a little bit. So in my food category in week 1, I saved $10.67, meaning that I just didn't spend that amount out of my cash envelope. In household, where I had $80, I saved $14.06. In gas, I saved $20. And in miscellaneous, I saved $30.30. This is a total saved, as in not spent, out of that week's cash envelope of $75.13. Now in week 2, I was just really trying to save for the trip, and so I saved a total amount, but I didn't keep track of each cash envelope. I can't remember why, it's been a few weeks. So my total save for that week was pretty awesome though. It was $129.34. Now in week 3, I didn't save any money. I spent all of it, and I spent the money that I had saved so far in my cash envelope system up until that point on my trip. I'll talk about that in just a minute. In week 4, back from my trip, I saved $10 in food, $12.61 in household, $15 in gas, and $40 in miscellaneous. In other words, the entire amount of miscellaneous that I had allotted myself, I didn't spend at all. That's a total saved of $77.61. Now, if you add all of that up, it says that over the course of the month, I didn't spend, of my total cash envelope allotment, I didn't spend / I saved $282.08. So that's delightful in a travel month. And I calculated that I saved somewhere around $75 after the trip. This is not entirely accurate because travel expenses always raise that a bit. But I will tell you that I did not go into debt for this trip, and I am delighted. Now I'm going to take off my glasses here, and I want to talk to you about how I worked this particular trip. Twice a year, my family and I travel very far away from our home to go visit family. This has been important to us for several years, and it has been a source of great stress financially. Because we live in a very isolated part of the world, there are no inexpensive ways to leave here. It's just not possible. And so between me and family member help, we have been able to make the trip happen. But frequently, I end up with a credit card balance at the end of a trip, which I may still be paying off 6 months or a year later, that is to say, well into the time for the next trip. Well, this time, I really did not want to do that if I didn't have to. I felt like I still had enough credit card debt that I'm paying off from a previous trip, last summer I think it was. Fortunately, I was able to get a 0% interest, and I'm able to pay it out before the 0% interest departs, so it will be all right. But every time I pay that, I just feel a little sick. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to start this cash envelope system, to see if I can keep from just sort of bleeding money a little bit every month. And I'm discovering that yes, I can keep from bleeding money a little bit every month, and it's wonderful. In the case of this particular trip, between what I was able to contribute and the family assistance that I received, was able to book the tickets, the airline tickets, and we stay with family, and they help us with transportation. So we don't have housing or transportation costs. So with family member help, and with giving them some money for gas, I usually give a cash amount for gas, and with me going to the grocery store myself and shopping and then cooking for the family, I help to sort of pay for our lodgings and say thank you for their assistance for the help in travel. But it also becomes a big place of expense for my family because we live in a small town in a very isolated part of the world, and so we save up our shopping needs for when we go there. So these are very expensive trips. And what I decided to do this time is to keep the cash that I had saved from the last week of January, the entire month of February, and the first 2 weeks of March. Just take all of that with me. And I went to the bank and had them put it into, large bills. But seriously, I haven't carried cash when I traveled since I was in my teens or 20s. It was very strange. But it was a few $100s. It wasn't like I was carrying $10,000 in my purse. So, I did it. And it worked out really, really, really well until the last 2 days when I got tired and I just started pulling out my credit card. Thankfully, I had been frugal enough until that point that as soon as I got home, I paid off that credit card with money that was in my checking account, and I do not owe anything. But I have decided that the next family trip that I take, I'm going to take you folks with me, not necessarily vlog style, because I don't really trust myself as a vlogger. I'm still recording into my phone camera here. But I would like to take you along with me financially, if you don't mind. Would you like to come along on a trip financially and see how I do traveling with myself and 2 teenagers to a family home where there's a lot of shopping and lots of temptations? How do we do? Because this time I made it. I squeaked by. I was able to maintain what I wanted, which is to not go into debt. I'm absolutely delighted about that. But I realized when I get tired, that's one of the triggers for me to say, forget it, I'm just going to spend. It's a tough one for me, it's being tired, because I think I don't want to do this myself. I don't want to think about it. I'm too tired. Now, I could make a different choice. I could go to sleep, could drink a big glass of water and watch some Netflix. There are other choices. I don't have to pull out the credit card and buy all that whatever. I don't even know what I spent it on, you know? It's that sort of impulse spending that comes from fuzzy thinking. I'm very thankful because of the cash envelope system that I did not go into debt, and I am looking ahead to not going into debt on the next trip. Now, one of the things that I have decided is that I will only do a cash envelope system in these 4 categories, at least for the next several months. I know that there are people who like to use a cash envelope system for all of their expenses, but I don't want to. I like to have some things done on auto pay, my electricity, my water, my Netflix. I like to go to write my check to the bank for the mortgage, those kinds of things I prefer to do. But when I have a cash envelope system going, what I've discovered is I get a little greedy, but in kind of a good way. And I'll think to myself, do I want that cash that's down here in my wallet, or do I want that thing on that shelf? And I usually am choosing the cash. And I'm very surprised about this character trait in me. I had no idea. I like to see something concrete. And if it's concrete, I can hold it in my hand, then I want to save it. I didn't know this about myself. Again, I'm delighted. My face really hurts from smiling as I go through this video. So the success of this so far has been that I have been able to spend less money, a couple of $100 less money each month. And I've been able to take a major trip, which would put me into a year's worth of credit card debt before, and I didn't go into any debt. So I'm thrilled, I'm delighted, I'm excited about the future, I'm a little bit shocked. I do have a large vet bill coming up, and I'm thinking I may be able to pay for it. I may be able to just say, here you go, vet, have the money, without having to put it on a credit card. Or if I do put it on a credit card, I can go straight home and pay it right off. I didn't know this about myself. I love learning these things about myself, and I thank you for the opportunity of sharing them with you. If you would like to join me on this journey here on this channel, where we talk about frugality, minimalism, and intentional living for the mature woman, then I hope that you will consider subscribing. Give this video a like if you liked it, and click the notifications bell so you'll be notified first of my new videos. I also want to say thank you to all my subscribers, original and new. Every day I go on YouTube and I see that more people have subscribed, and I truly thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I think it's important that we who are a little bit older talk about these subjects and how they affect us after many years of life experience. And so if you would like to share this with a friend, please do. I'm always polite, and the comments are always lovely, and we get to talk about things that inspire us related to money. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.